next hour, come hang out with us inside Studio 3 on MLB Tonight. Glad to have you with us because we're awesome. Mike Lowell, Cam Maven, my name is Lauren Shahadi. We're kind of at the halfway point, right? Between the World Series and spring training. We're looking at Instagram and Twitter, and players are ramping up their workouts. What were you guys doing in January when you played?
Lauren, let's not downplay this. Is this your inaugural MLB Tonight?
Wait, can you tell by all my notes?
Right?
If you have
You
notes,
have 17 pages of notes for
I thought
the
Lauren had a
bosses will
novel
think
over
you're a
there.
hard worker.
That's right. That's right.
Congrats to you. This is great. No, January 9th, I'm already in hitting mode. I probably took about 3 weeks off from throwing.
Yeah.
Hitting, I ramped up right after Christmas. I liked having 6 weeks before hitting. How about you, Cam?
Unfortunately, I wasn't as good as the guy that I grew up watching play third and rake down in Florida. So for me, as soon as the season was over, I was trying to figure my swing out. But right now, January was when I was almost kind of tapering off my off-season workout a little bit, so my body was, in good conditioning, feeling well rested. So right now, enjoying the new year. For me, the new year never really started until catchers and pitchers showed up.
Okay, about 30 days
so
then.
I'll keep telling people Happy New Year until that happens. Until then, you know what? I was just trying to kind of calm myself down, back off of my little off-season workout a little bit, just to kind of rest my body.
A little bit of a different mindset as the calendar turns. I'm sure it's different for guys who don't have a home yet. We've been waiting and wondering about Carlos Correa and the Mets. It was supposed to be a 12-year, $315 million deal. We're told it could be restructured. We're waiting day to day. As this goes on, and as this goes on longer, Cam, what changes in your mind?
Well, for me, what changes is the amount of suitors that are going to be after Carlos Correa. If this doesn't happen, if this deal falls through, now you're looking at what teams are out there that are willing to give him that amount of years and money that, he really wants and feels like he deserves. So for me, it already limits kind of where do you go. The Giants backed out. They did their due diligence. Now the Mets finding some red flags here and there. So for me, it kind of leaves you in one spot, and that's kind of, Minnesota Twins. They're really familiar with my health background. They know what I need to stay on the field. They know how many days he's going to need to be healthy throughout the season, because this guy, if you can keep him healthy through the season, he's a playoff menace. So, it kind of diminishes, what he has on the table as far as the suitors that want to have him.
Yeah, the Mets still hoping to get this deal done, but such a good point by you. If it's not 12 years, if it's restructured, right, Mike, to 8 or even pared down to 5, then doesn't that invite a whole new slew of suitors?
I believe it would. I don't think Scott Boras or Carlos Correa want to settle on less years. I do think that hurts. I don't know how they're going to restructure it, but if the third team does come into play, that's a lot of responsibility on that team's doctor, because the doctors are putting their reputation on line, suggesting to ownership, hey, this is the red flag. This is why this is held up. It's not because Steve Cohen is like, hey, I don't like him now when I loved him before. That's not the case. They want the player. They just want to ensure that, am I going to have to swallow 9 out of these 12 years because he's not healthy? So that if a third team comes in, those doctors are going to stake their reputation on the line and saying, no, I see something the Giants doctors didn't, and I see something the Mets doctors didn't. I think that hurts Correa. So as this lingers on, I fear that I still think it's going to get done with the Mets. But if for some reason, like you said, Lauren, it comes out that maybe we would take a real high AAV for 4 or 5 years, there's 10 teams that are jumping in.
Yeah, they are.
So, but I don't think for Carlos or for Scott Boras, you want to go back into free agency now at 32, 33. This is your time to make the big splash. You have all the leverage. You have the talent. I think it's, they got to work out some of the health issues, and I don't know if it's guaranteed dollars or what, because there's also that factor of the players' union has to sign off on this deal. They don't want it to set a precedent to hurt future players from not being able to have money that is guaranteed based on medicals. And the commissioner's office has to sign off on this deal. And the owner of the Mets has put a lot of pressure on a lot of teams on the spending capacity. I'm not sure the commissioner's office is so gung-ho about giving Steve Cohen whatever he wants, because he's really blown salaries out of the stratosphere from what was kind of the mold for the last 3-4 years.
It's so interesting because we're talking about a superstar in our sport. I mean, you're shaking your head yes because you've seen it firsthand. When the lights shine brightest, what time is it, Scarlett? He's there.
And that's the thing about Carlos Correa. We're talking about a guy where you see guys sign big deals and all of a sudden they disappear. Well, he's a guy that takes a lot of pride in what he does on the baseball field. So for me, you sign him to his deal, you give him the guaranteed money, he's going to come out and show you why he deserves that. And that's what I know from a fact from being in the locker room with with him, sharing a clubhouse and the field with him. This guy takes a lot of pride in what he does. He wants to show you that he's the best player on the field at all times. So for me, it's just who's willing to trust the medical, report and say, hey, you know what, you're still our guy. We're going to keep you on the field for, hey, 138. You know, it doesn't have to always be 162. You know, I always say with Aaron Judge, Stanton, certain guys, if you can keep them on the field for 135 to 140, you did a really good job, and they're going to produce for you.
28 years old, a superstar in our sport. The Mets got better this offseason, no doubt. They are not the only team in that division. You can say that again. Dave Dombrowski not messing around. He's not leaving there without a ring. Gregory Soto on his way from Detroit, part of a 5-player deal. In addition to Soto, Philly got Cody Clemens, and going the other way, Matt Vierling, Nick Maton, and Donnie Sands. How much better did Philadelphia get? Can you quantify it?
Well, they got a lot better with Trey Turner. That's number one. So their offseason has been outstanding. But from the standpoint of, it seems like the last 2-3 years, that kind of Achilles heel of the Phillies was that the bullpen really let them down. When you look at the arms now, Jose Alvarado, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Craig Kimbrell, Gregory Soto now. They signed Matt Strahm. I mean, these are guys that are high-velocity guys. They strike out guys. I mean, opposing teams on the back end of those latter innings, basically 6 through 9, they better get the bats ready early because it is 99 plus, a lot of movement, a lot of sink. And what I do like about this move is it seems like they have a lot of lefties with Alvarado and Strahm and now Soto. All three of these guys have better numbers against righties than lefties. So it's not like you're just bringing in a lefty specialist to face two lefties, out of the three or just end the inning. These guys can go the full inning. They can go maybe multiple innings. They present a lot of matchup problems for other teams. And
they relied on their high leverage guys in October, and it paid off in a major way. This was a weakness. Is it now a strength?
I mean, you look at this bullpen, and if you're a hitter, there's no walk in the park, and if it is, it's a dark walk. It's a bad
it's a walk you don't want to make.
It's a scary walk going home through that park, because when you look at Alvarado, you look at Soto. Now they have two of when you talk about on average miles per hour for fastball, the two hardest throwing lefties in the game. And like Mike said, guys that can get out lefties and righty. The only thing that kind of scares you if you're a Phillies fan, he's got a 5.3 walk per 9. So that right there is going to drive Phillies fans crazy, but somehow he always figures out a way to walk the bases loaded and only get out of it with giving up 1 run. So he knows how to get out. So I'm sure somebody over there on that pitching staff is going to try to get him to trust his stuff more in the zone and attack hitters. And I think that's when he'll take an even extra step in what he can do out of the bullpen.
And Cam, you make a great point that, he might not need to get to that point where he loads the bases. In Detroit, he was the arm back there.
Yeah.
If you know that you got 3 guys that have your back, you can kind of play around with things. And I think spring training is going to be huge for him to set up a relationship with his fellow, bullpen guys, with the pitching coach, because the stuff is there. The arsenal is just too good. And if you maybe find something here and there, we saw it kind of with Clay Holmes with the Yankees. Like, he found something that just made him so dominant. With that velocity, he finds a way to just kind of hone in on being a strike thrower. I mean, imagine he doesn't give up any home runs, so that's a plus. If he kind of can get that, walks per 9 down 10, 20%, hits a whole different type of pitcher.
And like I know, he gets to work with one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher in the game. That's going to help him out a whole bunch, especially from a confidence standpoint.
Great point.
And simplifying his approach.
He can let it eat, and guys